Hey, welcome to J Cats. Today we have a special treat for all of you. Instead of me talking on the show today, a friend of mine who's also a missionary in Japan has agreed to host today, and she's interviewing her friend who she will introduce. And I'm really excited about this program. Hope you enjoy as much as I do.
Welcome to JCats, a program that seeks to introduce Japanese contextualized literature and ideas for use by missionaries and anyone who wants to share the gospel with Japanese people.
日本人から聞く日本のキリスト教
I am Alissa, and I have been a missionary here in Japan for 4 years now in the Yokohama area. Um, I went to Moody Bible Institute and I studied intercultural studies, and so I I really love learning about other cultures and how to contextualize. I'm really excited today. I have a good friend with me. Her name is Mika, and Mika and I have known each other for 3 years. 3 years now, I think. I met Mika, I think, like 4 months after she became a Christian. So it's been really fun to walk alongside her. Mika, would you like to share just a little bit of your testimony with everybody and also a little bit about your current field of work?
Hi, I'm Mika. I became Christian 3 years ago during my senior year of college. And it all started through the gospel choir that I joined at the university. A missionary, like the teacher at the gospel choir was also a missionary. And I had also the Christian senpai senior who she became Christian like a year before me. So we started like reading the book called The Purpose-Driven Life together, and that helped me learn about Jesus more and more. And at the time, I was really struggling with the depression and the stress of job hunting. So as I got to know Jesus, I started feeling like I want God to take the wheel of my life. And so yeah, I started believe and accepted Jesus as my savior. And also I was baptized this April. And my work is I work as a planner and director at the commercial production company in Japan. I make TV and online commercials, and I also write and direct short films. よろしくお願いします。
Mika is very, very talented in filmmaking. And what else do you do, Mika?
Oh, I paint.
Yes. She paints, she does all sorts of art. She's very, very creative. Mika, you're probably like the most creative person I've ever met.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Very, very talented. So thanks for sharing, Mika. So today's topic of the podcast is about Ayako Miura. And Mika is actually the one who told me about Ayako-san. Mika, tell us a little bit about who is Ayako Miura, and how did you even hear about her?
Yeah, she is a Japanese Christian author from Hokkaido, and she became Christian after like being diagnosed with tuberculosis and spending years recovering. And during that time, she was baptized, and later she devoted her life to writing, and she became one of Japan's most well-known Christian authors. And many of her novels explore themes of faith, grace, and redemption. And I actually discovered her by accident. One day I was just went to the bookstore and found a book called Introduction to the New Testament. It looked like an easy read, so I picked it up without knowing really uh, about like knowing without knowing anything about the author. And when I got home and started reading the introduction, I learned about her own story that she suffered from tuberculosis, and a childhood friend who was a Christian read the Bible with her. And through that process, she came to know Jesus and became a Christian herself. And I remember thinking, like, that's like a movie. So her story really like captured my attention. And after that, I started reading her autobiography and many of her other books, and she quickly became one of my favorite authors. Just like really like attracted to like how she became Christian.
Mm.
Like it was like written in the introduction of the book. So
Mm.
the moment I read that like passage, like how I became Christian or something like that, I was like, I gotta read her autobiography.
Are her books like primarily like Christian books, or do they just kind of have like a Christian character sometimes or a Christian theme? Or is she known as like a Christian author?
I think she's known as a Christian author. Like
Okay.
I've like seen like reviews on a website uh of her like fans, and even though like they're I think not everyone is like Christian readers, but they all know that she is a Christian author, and she always like put Christian aspects on her books.
Mm.
So yeah.
And yet, like those readers are still interested in reading,
Yes.
even though
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
not believers. Wow. Why do you think that her books resonate with Japanese readers, even those who are not Christians?
I think it's because the message of the Bible is at the heart of her stories. Like she doesn't hide it or treat it as just one idea among many. It gives her like novels a clear center. And when I read her books, I feel there are like two kinds of truth. The first kind makes you think like, yeah, that's true. Like things like loving your neighbor or forgiving others. You may not always live like that way, but deep down, you know that it's true. Like it's like when you're young and argue with your parents, and years later, you realize that they were right all along, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And there's another like kind of truth in stories that like surprises you. Like you read and think, wait, really? Like, for example, many of her characters are like the older brother in the prodigal son, Hoto Musko. They believe they're good people, but later they discover that their pride is actually their greatest sin. So I think that's a shocking idea for many Japanese readers. But at the same time, like us Japanese, we're always like that, like older brother. We kind of like connected with the older brother type of person.
Mhm.
So that's shocking, but still like in a good way. It's shocking, but in a good way, I think. So I think her books like contain both kinds of truth. Some parts feel deeply familiar, and while others completely change the way you see yourself. And I think that's one reason her stories like resonate with so many people, even those who aren't Christians. And both kinds of truth come from the Bible, of course. And
Mhm.
together they speak to people's hearts in a powerful way.
As an artist yourself, Mika, what stands out to you about her work and like what kind of impact did she have on you?
Um, what really stood out to me was the way she naturally put Christian themes into her stories.
Mm.
Like before, like I started reading her books, the only like Christian literature that I knew was like The Silence by Shusaku Endo. And I had read the novel and seen the film, because it's set during the persecution of the Christians in Japan. You know, the Christianity is naturally at the center of the story. And that made me wonder, like, how do you tell a Christian story in a present day Japan? Like,
Mm.
what if your story is about an ordinary family or an like office worker or a student? how do you communicate the gospel without making it feel forced?
Mm.
So reading her work gave me a new perspective. Like many of her stories are set in everyday Japan with like familiar relationships like family, friendship, and romance. The Christian, of course, the Christian elements are there. Like main character might have a father who's a pastor, or they might start going to a local church, but those details never feel unnatural or preachy.
Mm.
So what I admire most was how she connected those Christian elements with the inner journey of her characters,
Mm.
especially as they like slowly become aware of their own sin and need for grace.
Mm.
She found a way to introduce the gospel that feels like approachable for Japanese readers. And as someone like who hopes to make films that share the gospel, like that was really like inspiring. Like she showed me that it's possible to tell stories that are deeply rooted in the Bible while still feeling authentic and relatable to people
Mm.
living in modern Japan. Hi.
Mm. Okay. Is there a scene, character, or quote from her work that has shaped how you follow Jesus?
Yes. One scene from Hitsujigaoka had stayed with me. Um, it's a story about the main character, Naomi, who leaves home to marry a man her pastor father didn't approve of. And later her marriage begins to fall apart because of her husband's unfaithfulness and irresponsible behavior, and she feels like completely broken and she returns to her parents' house. And at the point, her father noticed that like Naomi had started looking down on her husband. So he gently says, like, you once said that you could love one person for the rest of your life. I told you that to love someone is to forgive. Have you forgotten? And then he says, like, Naomi, human beings cannot live without making mistakes. We are not God. To live under the same roof means learning to forgive one another. And he finally says, he says, Naomi, don't forget that you too are someone who needs to be forgiven again and again. Like that those words have had a like huge impact on me. Like
Mm.
that made me ask myself, do I really live with the awareness that I also need to be forgiven over and over again?
Mm.
Like as a Christian, it's easy to think that because I know the truth, I'm somehow better than, someone who doesn't. But
Mm.
this scene reminded me that if I become proud because I know the truth, the
Mm.
pride is even harder to excuse. Because like
Mm.
knowing Christ should make me more humble, not less. So that's something that I still want to remember as I follow Jesus.
Wow. That's like such a big theme that I saw throughout Shiokari Pass was humility and the power of humility. If there's one thing I took from that book, it was that walking humbly and faithfully with Jesus is so powerful.
I think she knew that like humility is something that like as Japanese we can really feel connected to. So I think
Mm,
that was one of the biggest like her theme in the novels.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like there were so many points in Shiokari Pass where from a Western perspective, it would have been like, okay, you're at the perfect point where you should like share Jesus right now. Explain the gospel
Mm.
with your words. The character didn't. He like very silently and humbly, in a different way, represented Jesus.
Mm.
And that ended up being so powerful in the end. And it made me really want to walk so much more humbly with Christ.
I feel the same way.
What aspects of Christianity in her novels feel distinctly Japanese?
Oh. I think it's the way she engages with Japan's religious background.
Mm.
In some of her books, she talks about Shinto and Buddhism from the perspective of a Japanese Christian. So she understands why so many Japanese people feel close to those, traditions or like religions. She doesn't like criticize them or sound preachy, but instead, through the story, she quietly shows why Christianity became so meaningful to her. For example, in Flow, Doryuchitai, um, in that story, two brothers loses all of their farmland, in a natural disaster, even though they have worked so hard and tried to live good lives. And seeing all of that, their uncle says that maybe it happened because their ancestors cursed them. But the older brother who has started reading the book of Job, he responds differently. He says, if our own ancestors truly loved us, why would they curse their descendants? And if even human ancestors wouldn't do that, then surely God or even Buddha wouldn't punish people like that either. And he goes on to say that the idea of good actions always bring good results, or like bad actions always bring bad results, is a human ideal, not necessarily the truth. And I thought that's like a beautiful example of how Miura-san connects a very Japanese way of thinking about the religion with the message of the Bible.
Hmm. What can missionaries learn from the way that she presents faith instead of simply explaining it?
Oh,
Does that make
I think,
sense?
yeah, it does.
Okay.
I think there are two things that missionaries can learn from her books. First, just don't hide the gospel, obviously. Like what I admire of her is her honesty. Like she
Mm.
doesn't try to make Christianity sound more attractive or hide it behind complicated ideas. She just simply writes from her faith.
Hmm.
Many missionaries, especially from the US, like they already come from the culture where people speak openly about their faith. But I wonder, like, if after they're coming to Japan, like, if they ever felt like they have to adapt so much to the Japanese culture that they became like too indirect.
Hmm.
Of course, like we should speak with like love and wisdom and like kind of follow Japanese, なんだ, that like tradition like the culture of like
Hmm.
reading the atmosphere, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But I think when there's already trust, like through a church or friendship or another like close relationship, I think you should share the gospel like very clearly.
Hmm.
A simple and honest message can stay in someone's heart, and even if they don't accept it right away, like they will eventually. Yeah.
Hmm.
And second thing is to be patient.
Hmm.
As I mentioned earlier, many of Miura-san's character are like the older brother in the prodigal son, and I think many Japanese people are like that too. And that's why I don't think missionaries should expect immediate results. Um, Instead, I think they should just keep loving people and be patient. I mean, I know that they already know about that, but Japanese people, Japanese people are often like very good at looking humble on the outside, but many of us know that there is still pride in our hearts.
Hmm.
But when someone meets a Christian who shows the kind of humility and love that Jesus showed, they start to think, well, there's something different about this person. And then when they go through a difficult season in life, they may remember that the person and recognize their need for God's grace and maybe become more open to the gospel.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you, Mika. That's a good perspective and encouragement.
Thank you.
Okay, out of Ayako-san's books, which would you recommend and why?
I I have several favorites.
Okay.
Can I recommend three? Three books?
Oh, お願いします.
Yeah. The first one is Ayako Miura-san's autobiography. Yeah, of course. That's my one of my favorite, and because it shows how God provides the right people and what we need at the right time.
Mm.
And her story of like going through the suffering like gave me a lot of courage, and I especially recommend it to anyone who is going through like a difficult season or even someone who's waiting to meet a person they'll marry or something like that. It's a true story that gives a lot of hope. And the second one is Matt Flow, 同流地帯, which is inspired by the book of Job. I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, I think it speaks to people who feel like well, I'm working so hard but nothing's going right, or I've been betrayed, or why do dishonest people seem to succeed? And if you're like asking those kind of questions, I think this book will really resonate with you.
Mm.
And finally, I'd also recommend Yuari Asari. I don't know the English title, but it's based on the life of a Christian businessman who developed Japan's first dry cleaning business. Um, his life from before the World War, like First World War, through the post-war years, like I was like full of like incredible ups and downs, but by the end, like you can really see that God had been guiding his life all along. And really want to recommend this book to someone who's doing the job hunting or thinking about changing jobs, because in Japan, like when it comes to work, like changing jobs can, feel still risky, and some people might feel ashamed of that.
Mm.
But when you read this book, like it really encourages you to just trust God and move forward with the courage instead of fear. So yeah,
Mm.
those three are my favorites.
Wow. 読みたい.
読んでください.
Do you know of those three? I know the first one, her
Mhm.
autobiography, is translated into English. It's
Yeah.
it's very hard to find a copy of it,
Mm.
but do you know if the other two are in English or just Japanese?
Uh, I don't know, but I think the second one is maybe like translated into English because they have the English title, maybe.
Ah,
I
okay.
don't know.
I mean, we can search it later.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just like so thankful that she does have Shiokari Pass is in English. Uh,
Yeah.
what is it? The Wind is Howling. I think that's what it translates to. Her
Oh, yeah,
autobiography
yeah, yeah.
in English.
And also the freezing point. Oh,
Yes.
in Japanese.
Have you read that one?
Yes.
What is that one about?
It's about it's crazy. I don't know how to explain it, but it's about a family. It's family and like uh I think the father and mother just lost their like the child got killed by someone, and then like なんて言うんだろう、わかんない.
It's
It's
okay.
it's very complicated, but it's very entertaining. But at the same time, it has lots of like deep like, biblical message in it. So,
Mm,
yeah,
okay.
おすすめ.
あー、全部読みたい. I don't even really like reading at all.
Boy.
But especially stories are really hard for me to read. And I like can't put her books down. I searched everywhere to find another English copy of something of hers. Thank you for sending that one to me. Um,
よかった。
but yeah,
Yeah.
they're just so, so good. And I think, yeah, especially for like missionaries, it is like such a gift to be able to read her work because she's
Mm,
a Japanese Christian writing from like a Japanese perspective, and we get to see the world through her lens and
確かに。Wow.
learn so much. I felt like when I was reading Shiokari Pass, it felt like me and Ayako-san were looking at the same Jesus and we were
Mm.
looking at the same gospel story, but we were standing at different sides. Like she's over here
Oh.
and I'm over here. It's the same story, but we were like seeing it from a different point of view. And so when you
Ooh.
hear from the other point of view, like it makes the story even more beautiful. Like you see the fullness of beauty in the story
Ah.
of Jesus. And that's like what I really appreciate about not even just her work, but like
Mm.
just learning from the Japanese perspective because even selfishly, like I get to see Jesus from another like point of view and seeing the fullness of his beauty in that way. And I just love it.
Oh, that's a great picture. Like Jesus. Awesome.
Yes, yes.
I love that. I love that picture.
It's almost like a diamond. If you picture a diamond has many like different shiny parts and different angles on each side.
Mm.
And the more you can see around the diamond, like the more beautiful the diamond is. If you're only looking from one
Oh.
side, it's the same thing, but you're just
Mm.
not seeing the fullness of it. So I kind of picture it that way.
すごい. You're like a poet.
No, no, no. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.